When Jesus tells his story about a vineyard owner going into the village square to hire day workers, his parable has a lot of elements to it that would have been very familiar to his first audience. The fact that a vineyard owner would go into the village square to find day workers was pretty common, and the fact that they would negotiate a fair day's wage for a fair day's work was the way things happened in those days. And it wasn't unfamiliar for the vineyard manager or owner to go and get further workers during the day if there was more work that needed to be done and more workers available. So all of that is pretty familiar to the audience that Jesus is talking to. It's not until he gets to the end of his story, like so many of Jesus' parables, that there's a little twist, or a significant twist, in the tale. And it comes when the vineyard owner comes to pay the workers. And he pays the workers that started last and only worked for an hour. He pays them first and pays them a full day's wage. So when the people that were hired early in the morning hear about that, their expectations shoot right up. They think, wow, if he's paying that much for 1 hour's work, how much are we going to get? What they fail to remember, of course, is that they'd already negotiated how much they were going to get, and that's exactly what the vineyard owner paid them. And they protested and said, what's this about? These guys only worked an hour. We laboured long and hard in the hot sun, and you're paying us the same as them? And the vineyard owner, of course, says, but that's what we negotiated. If I'm being generous to them, what's that to you? It's my money. I'm allowed to do what I like with it. And what we have here is an exposé, in a sense, of the fact that we as human beings are very, very familiar with transactional relationships, where we work and earn money and come to contracts, and there's an understanding, I give you this, you give me that. That's all very familiar with us in our world. The thing that we find far less familiar is the whole notion of grace and generosity. And this is what Jesus is introducing as an idea, that when grace and generosity come into a transactional world, they're often encountered as entirely unfair, because in a sense they are. Although you have to remember, fairness is a very fungible category, very flexible, and it depends on the perspective that you have and how much data you take into consideration and how clearly you see that data as to what might be considered fair or otherwise. So just go carefully when you use that fair word. But generosity, of course, has nothing at all to do with fairness. It has to do with the heart of the one who is giving, and they give out of their generosity, not because it's earned or owed or deserved or anything else, but because that's what they want to do. And that's what this little parable is about in Matthew chapter 20, verses 1 to 16, which we'll be looking at Mustard Seed this coming Sunday, the 20th of September 2020, the year of the COVID virus, just in case you've forgotten. So come along through Zoom. You can come to Zoom Church, or you can watch us on the Facebook Live feed. And we're also available, I'm available, who's the we? Probably anybody in the church would love to talk with you if you're interested, about some of the issues that we cover in our Sunday conversations and so forth. So I hope you'll join us, one way or the other. God bless, stay faithful, chin up, all that. God.